Hello, everyone. Welcome to another webinar of GameCamp. Today's topic will be focused on better visibility with effective ASO. So we'll talk about localization, optimization of activities related to app and game assets. So let's invite our great speakers. So let's invite as the first speaker Marek Pasieczny, who is the ASO specialist at Gamesture. Marek, could you share a few words about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Mariusz. Thanks for a little introduction. And hey guys, great to have you all here behind the screens, of course, online. Today, I will be talking about practical use of data combined with App Store optimization. So let's dive in.
And let's invite another speaker, Ilia Kukharev, who is the head of organic growth at Aviasales and PM of ASO and organic lead for analytics of AppFollow. Hello.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, hi. Thank you for inviting me, and I guess we have a great webinar today.
Thank you. And let's invite our last speaker, Eren, who is working with mobile apps in Turkey with like biggest publishers in the region. Hello, Eren.
Hey everyone. Thank you for joining. Nice of you having me here. I work as a monetization specialist in Google. I'm so excited for this webinar.
Thank you. So let's go to the topic. As always, we of course encouraging you to add any questions to Slido. Just go to the www.sli.do and enter GameCamp. That's the hashtag for our webinars. So just go to the Slido and then go to the page of the session, adding GameCamp as the hashtag, and then you are able to add the questions or like any things that are like especially interesting for you. So what is more like you will be able to vote for other questions. So with that, you should be able to deep dive. That's part of the topic that is especially interesting for you. And for now, let's invite for our first session, which will be focused on how to boost your ASO with data analytics. Marek, the stage is yours.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so at the beginning, just a few words about me. So I have been working in the mobile gaming industry since 2018, and currently I'm a member of Gamesture marketing team. And greetings to all Gamesture staff who support me today behind the screens. And I work with the two titles that are available in the Google App Store. And the first one is Questland. Is quite a complex RPG game with approximately 7 million downloads on the App Store and Google Play combined. And Fablehood. Fablehood is a new take on puzzle battlers with a strong IP that is based on well-known Fable characters like Red Riding Hood, Puss in Boots, and so on and so forth. So we are currently soft launching Fablehood. The initial KPIs look very promising, and as well, I am a data-driven marketer, which means that I put data on a pedestal when it comes to make decision, and I always try to provide some interesting insights for my team and my own usage. And that's all about me. We can move strictly to the agenda. Talking about agenda, we have 3 topics to cover. The examples are more like case studies with one success story among them of analyzing data. And the first one, in terms of pre-analytics, it means something that we do before taking any actions, making any marketing plans. So how to prepare the results of data analytics that will be decision drivers. The first one about analyzing keyword KPIs for ASO purposes. The second one, it's classic success story of real-time analytics. So we'll be checking performance of major changes and KPIs connected with these changes that can cause an increase or decrease. And the third one, in terms of post-analytics, gather all necessary metrics from the past to check how they influence each other in a particular period of time. And worth to note that all presented cases are connected with a Questland RPG mobile game. Okay, just before we start and move to the first case study, I want to talk a little bit of the advantages of combining App Store optimization with data analytics. So first one is quite obvious, making the right decisions, but everything here relies on the right decisions. Predicting some App Store behaviors by saying some, I have in mind predictions based on post data analytics, but I will talk about it more in the first case study. Improving KPIs, like choosing keywords that best fit your app or games based on analytics. Investing budget the right way. Not only installs are important here, but also the daily active users, conversion rate, retention, revenue, so on and so forth. Minimizing the risk of bad attempts, like closing, ending A/B tests or experiments to prevent damages that can happen on closing specific campaign to debate performance. That's the classic real-time analytics. And the last one, in the meaning like putting more trust in data than intuition or your own feelings. Like everyone is individual, has its own habits, but in the end of the day, apps and games are targeted to the much wider audience than just an individual person. Okay. So moving directly to the first case study, I will start at the end of our agenda. Hope you wouldn't be mad at me because of that. The first case study is focused on post-data analytics, where I want to give you a great template, not only for checking user acquisition or similar apps correlation, but for checking any other correlation between two factors. It's up to you and your creativity. Okay, so scope and goal of regarding to this case study. We need some data on similar app traffic. In this case, we will export the data from AppTweak reports. We also need data on user acquisition on Android traffic. That might come from, for example, Google Play Console, your own BI tools, or any other MMPI tools. And we will use the Pearson correlation coefficient that measures linear correlation between two factors. So this mathematical formula for calculating Pearson correlation coefficient looks very heavy at first sight, but believe me, you will need only 6 columns and 3 formulas to calculate it properly. The goal is to measure linear correlation between similar apps and UI traffic. If the correlation is high or low, which means how two factors influence on each other. Okay, talking about the first point, similar apps traffic data from AppTweak. The data can be exported from AppTweak Explore section, and we can do this in 3 simple steps, like look for our app in AppTweak dashboard and add it to the dashboard, then go to the Explore section, choose the right range of dates, and download the CS file. That's very simple. And for UI traffic, like user acquisition traffic, we do the same thing. Like it's worth to remember that remember to apply the same range of dates like you choose for similar apps traffic, because we will compare the every exact date from similar app traffic to user acquisition traffic. Okay, a little bit more about Pearson correlation coefficient for those who don't know it quite well. I will be calling it CC in short. in the next slides. The Pearson correlation coefficient is used to measure the strength of association between two factors, and it's in the range between 1 and -1, where the value 1 means a strong or almost a perfect correlation, positive correlation, and the value -1 means a strong negative correlation. Everything closer to 0 has lower and lower correlation, of course. What's the difference between positive and negative correlation? Talking about positive correlation, when one or of the factors increase, the second one also increase, and vice versa. Like if the one decrease, also the second one also decrease. Talking about negative correlation, when one of the factors increase, the second of one decreases as well, and vice versa. We can see the interpretation at the right, but at the left we can see a scatter chart. You've probably seen this scatter chart at least one in your life, I assume, if you work with data. It visualizes the correlation between two factors, like I mentioned before. One factor on the horizontal axis, second one on the vertical. We observe positive correlation when the trend line is like going up, and the negative when the trend line is going down. That's in short. Okay. And as I said, you only need 6 columns and 3 formulas to calculate CC. Here we can see some random data about similar app and user acquisition traffic. And I created 3 extra columns where one is similar apps traffic is multiplied by user acquisition traffic. That's the column T. Similar apps traffic and user acquisition traffic are raised to a second power. That's the columns U and V. And for counting dates, I have used count unique formula for count every single date. And the columns from R to V are simple sum formulas to sum up the range of data. And more complex formula for calculating CC at the end. So you can use it for your own. The range of the data for these formulas, it's strictly connected with the sheet we can see on the screen. And for example, in this case, as a result, we get CC that equals 0.59, which means that correlation is moderate for positive for this particular set of data. What is important? It's good to visualize data on the line graph before we start to calculate. Like we take this data about similar apps traffic and UA traffic. It happens that there are some anomalies or spikes in time that can falsify the results of the analysis. So removing outliers, like we've seen on the graph at the left, like this big spike, should help to resolve this issue. Like it's a good solution for counting Pearson correlation. Like for the Spearman correlation, it's not that important because Spearman correlation is fitted to the like outliers and so on and so forth. Okay, so after we check and remove the outliers, we can go strictly to we can proceed to calculating CC using data sheets and formulas that I presented before, like I presented before here below. So presented case applies to our internal data, and it's connected with one of the targeted markets. So we discover high positive correlation between user acquisition and similar apps traffic, which means that if we increase a budget that we spent on user acquisition, we can expect increase in similar app traffic flowing to our game. That was the case, and that was the goal of this analysis. At the right, we can see a correlation coefficient and visualizing of this correlation on the chatter graph. So what's more, the last one thing is crucial, in my opinion, calculating CC for every single market, at least for the countries in your top tier or countries where we put a lot of marketing budget on ads. So we can calculating CC like I did just on the rating database, on the rating data for US, UK, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what's next? Using this method, you can simply check if one factor affects another. Like I said before, this method measures linear correlation, so any other variable might falsify the result of the analysis. So just stick to the two. And it's a good method to check if any changes can proceed to generate organic uplift. So organic uplift is quite important in the mobile gaming industry. Like it's correlation between organic and paid installs, in the meaning like every paid installs can generate some organic installs. In gaming industry, it's something like between 1 to even 17. So even one paid install can generate 17 organic installs, which are free. Okay, so it's time to present the second case study, or being more precise, success story. There will be less numbers and formulas at this point, but we are still in the topic of real-time analytics. So let's dive in. In Questland, RPG game, we have this in-game mechanism called secret codes to reward the players. Secret code is a 9-digit code that can be used in the game. Questland players can share their individual code with other players to collect prizes. They can also use some special secret codes that we create for special occasions like holidays, Valentine's, carnivals, and we publish these codes on social media or Discord channel to reward players with skins, cosmetics, some free resources, like you can see on the right. So I came up with an idea one time to make use of secret codes on Google Play Questlands listing, and our community manager prepared a list of secret codes and list of items or resources included in every secret pack we send to the players who use Thunder 20 code right after installing the game. And one of our designers prepared a beautiful set of screenshots. One of the screenshot we can see at the slide. The first step was to A/B test these assets. And before that, the main question was whether it complies with the requirements or not, like the Google guidelines for Google Play Store and so on and so forth. I didn't find any contradictions, to be honest, in Google Play guidelines to use this kind of screenshot. So we conducted the A/B test. A/B test was a simple Google Play experiment, includes two variants with 50-50 audience share lasting for 7 days. A/B testing calculator helped me with calculating estimated installs. Like you can see, 1767 installs was estimated for this one experiment. And MDA on the level of 50%. MDA is a minimal detectable effect, the effect on your conversion rate that can be lower or higher for 15%. And as a testing market, we choose the United States. You can compare the estimated installs and overall installs. There are more overall installs in general, and even more. Even for the experiment reached the estimated installs after 4 days, we decided to run the test for at least 7 days, as the good practice are, to catch all the weekdays and weekends. During these 7 days, we checked installs performance in real time to prevent any unfavorable changes that could cost us decrease in conversion rate or in installations. As a result, the A/B test score was applied to the listing in 20 of July, after 7 days of testing, like I mentioned. But as we all ASOs know, store experiments performance is one thing, and the real performance is another thing. So we check the store listing performance. We've seen significant increase in conversion rate and install volume since the very first day of A/B test launching. The dots on the graph represents when the test was launched. We also see the period before and after the test. During the whole testing process, we observe how metrics are changing over time, and it was quite crucial to eliminate any other variables in this period. If something was wrong, we just we would end the test. Yes. But as a result, overall, we managed to improve conversion rate by 36% and generate 29% more installs, which is quite a good of a result. Analyzing store performance is one thing, but the in-game performance is another, of course. That's why we conducted some real-time analytics to check what is the secret code standard 20 distribution in specific servers over time. So like we have several servers for the users in Questland. They can choose the server at the very beginning of the game. The most popular server is the global server, and there are some also ones specified for the continents like Europe, like America, like Asia, and so on and so forth. And this data, is worth mentioning, applies only to users who have created an account and used the standard 20 code between 14 and 27 July 2020. So looking at the column graph at the right, we can see how was the code performance in the testing periods, so the first 7 days, and how this effect was multiplied like 3 or even 4 times right after the test results apply. So users started to using the code we presented on the first screenshot. And as a result, we acquired 88 players, which is 11.5% of all acquired players, and 777 non-payers who generated almost 3,400 extra revenue. Yeah. And it was an extra revenue just by using this little hack with the first screenshot and using of secret code. Worth to note that this data relates to the time period between 14 and 26 of July on the US market, as I mentioned before. And still, we have a lot of non-payers, but part of the non-paying players can be still converted into payers in the long run. Okay, so what we learned from this approach? We learned that we learned to check the rules twice to be perfectly sure, of course. We like to find some resources that can be used in your marketing plan. It's worth to find some kind of resources if you have in your app or a game. It's necessary to check major changes performance in real time because bad things can happen. And it's important to end some tests and some action in time. Creative ideas can lead to bad results sometimes, but in the long run, you will be rewarded. That's my opinion. So just putting creativity on is a good move. And it's a waste of time working in the unambitious team. So I'm lucky to work with the very ambitious guys. And the last case study, but not least, analyzing keyword KPIs for Aso purposes. Like I see, you would like to ask me some questions, guys, yes?
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you for the presentation. It's going really, really well. There was a question that stuck me. I believe that could be an also important step. So the question is, I really like the idea that including a promotion item in store listing screenshots, and it subtly makes users to think that they start the game a step ahead, right?
Yep.
So I do wonder if there's a difference in the retention of this promo cohort when the item is consumable or non-consumable. So do you have any idea on that? I mean, so giving a sword is an item which is non-consumable one, but if you were to give an item which is like a coin or something, so do you have any data on that?
Yes, I have a data on that. Just that kind of data which I presented is just a part of data, just to give you the best pinpoints. But talking about retention, we also observed the increasing retention in the US market. It was a slightly difference, not the significant difference. Like in D1 by something like 15% overall. But do not observe some changes in retention in D3, D5, D7, and so on so forth. Probably because the code should be used at the very beginning of the game. Yes, like the users have seen this this secret code on the listing and want to use it right after installing the game.
I see. Thank you very much for the answer. Do you mind if I follow up a question with a very small one?
Yeah, feel free to.
Awesome. So do you think it's worthwhile to add more than one promo item for users to choose so that you would enable them to at least customize their initial start?
I think it's a more question for the game designers, I think. But from my point of view, it's worth to, every time it's worth to give some possibilities to the users, yes, at the beginning. Like,
Thank you very much. The reason I'm asking is that for your female audience, maybe presenting a promo item which is more colorful to their eyes, or for male players, that could be another item. So
okay, understood. And according to our data, we have more and more male players in Questland, something like 88 to 90%. So if we have some options, for example, in the Google Play Console, to targeting by by a gender or age, or like user acquisition channel, it will be very nice, yes, to make something special for that kind of audience.
Thank you very much for the answer.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so going back to our case study, the one that is last but not least, like I said, it's about analyzing keywords KPIs for ASO purposes, and it's a kind of a practical pre-analytics, pre-data analytics, like something it's a work to do before taking any actions or planning any marketing actions. Scope and goal. The number of keywords I chosen 38 most popular keywords on Google Play Store. based on number of impressions. Keywords with small number of impressions can be statistically insignificant. I take into consideration only keywords that have at least 500 impressions per month. This is a great solution for marketers, developers who has downloaded the acquisition reports before November 2nd, when the new Google Play console has appeared. And I bet you have downloaded these reports, and I hope the similar reports will be available in the new GP console too, because that financial data about keywords is crucial. And also there is a workaround in the new GP console. It has appeared a week ago. It's right behind the filter dates. You can export the data from the conversion analysis reports and use it for such kind of analysis. And the goal in this use case was to discover keywords that drive installs, buyers, quality buyers identified by high ARPPU and has the highest conversion rate. RPPU is average revenue per paying users. Okay, so the first step after exporting data from GP console, the data about the acquisition reports, it's time to place it into a tool, any tool you like, Excel or Google Spreadsheet. In this case, I use Google Spreadsheet. Organize this data and sort this data according to the purpose of use. In this case, analyze the KPI. I also hidden some our internal data, and I've added 2 extra columns right after each keyword for further use. And I will talk about these 2 columns later. The first one, just in details, the first one counts the number of words in each keyword. And the second one identifies the language. I've done it in language code. I've done it manually because this formula doesn't work correctly in some cases. Like I tried to detect some word in Russian, and it discovered as a Serbian or something like this. The next step is creating pivot tables that include columns that are necessary for us. And by using these pivot tables, we can visualize the data. And here's just an example of visualizing data, and we need to seek for some conclusions. This particular graph represents keywords with highest conversion rate and average rank for each keyword. What we observe is the very high conversion rate for keywords connected with character creation and customization, even though the average keyword rank is quite low, 11 for the first one and rank 6 for the second one. These keywords are typical long-tail keywords, like character creation, like I said. Sorry, I need to check it. Customize character games, and the second one is RPG with a character creator. So these keywords are typical long-tail keywords that players use seeking for very specific games feature. In this case, like customization, like using some cosmetics, changing the hair, and that kind of stuff. It's worth mentioning that these features connected with character creation and customization these features are presented in the first screenshot on the app listing, not that one that I presented in the previous one, case study, but that's completely different screenshot. From the other hand, for example, keywords in French are the ones of the best converted keywords among the others. It's just a sample of conclusion for this graph. The next example of using data, comparing ARPPU to conversion to buyers for specific keywords, and some insight on that. The keyword that best converts to a buyer is the keyword single player, but we that keyword should be included in the app listing because of the low performance. And that's why I've created these two extra columns that I presented here. The first one detects the language code. Thanks to this, we can create a simple pivot table to discover language performance. So in this case, the major part of revenue is generated by buyers who was seeking for our app game using English keywords. And French keywords looks very promising in terms of ARPPU, which is the data is of course hidden, but this ARPPU is 3 times greater than ARPPU for English ones, for example. And the use case for the second column here, the usage of the column that counts number of words in every keyword. This way we check how short tail, the short keywords, and long tail keywords perform. It's no surprise that long tail keywords are characterized by high conversion rate. As we can see, long tail keywords deliver the highest ARPU and ARPPU and converts players into buyers the best way. The major part of installs and buyers are delivered, of course, by one-word keyword, the shortest one. And I encourage all of you to conduct language and keyword length analysis. It's quite simple. It's very easy to make, and can give you very fruitful results. So other examples of data sheets, not only this one or this one, and just comparing some installs and conversion rate, install and RPU, buyers and conversion to buyers, buyers and RPPU, keywords and revenue, just to increase conversion for the keywords that deliver most of installs, for example, or just to maximize revenue. Like we have been using a lot of financial KPIs, yes? And what to use this data for? This data can be used for optimizing text assets on the listing, like optimizing title, which is one of the most important elements on the listing, like this, optimizing description, enriching screenshots with features. Like I mentioned before, we have this one screenshot that is connected with character creation and customization, and it's stand as the first. On the second screenshot, depends on the market. Also looking for profitable languages, markets for localization. You can figure out that that there is some language that drives a lot of installs, a lot of revenue, and you haven't localized the listing for that market, so you can do now. Using keywords in user acquisition, like Google Ads, for improving return of ad spend, for example, and increasing overall revenue and user engagement. Yes. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Marek. Thank you for the very interesting presentation. Maybe before we go to the next presentation, there is the question on the slide. Do you think if anything changed in ASO like during and after the COVID? Do you think it add any difference to today's activities versus the previous the previous ones? What is your view on that?
So one thing is the changes connected with COVID, and the second one is the changes connected with just algorithm changes on the store. The first one in the very beginning of March, we discover that that user engagement is higher for the users based on our internal data, and also the overall installs is also quite much higher than in the previous months. And if we compare the March 2020 to March 2019, for example, so that kind of situation we have for several months, like 3 months. And in the second example, second change regarding the algorithm changes, we've seen some changes in the end of March. The share of Explore organic traffic has changed. Google has also conducted some ABA testing on UI on Google Play Store, and some of these changes were approved, in my opinion, because I've seen it before and I see them now, and these changes changed the way of organic Explorer distribution on the store. So that's, in my opinion, the main two changes in the last months.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so stay with us for like the last part, which is like again Q&A and discussion. Again, everyone, I really encourage you to add the questions at Slido. And then let's invite our second speaker, Ilia Kukharev, who will be talking about localization, store pages, app assets, and how to actually make it like a real and smooth process, how to actually make it in scale as well. Ilia, the stage is yours.
Thank you guys one more time for joining us today. Today we're gonna talk about the app localization and store page localization and why you need to do this and how to do this. So the complete overview of the localization process. So let's start with some information about myself. I'm doing ASO actually for about 6 years already, and I started in Aviasales company as a head of organic growth. So we are doing localizations for our travel apps, and actually some of our apps are growing and actually bringing revenue and traffic only by organic user acquisition using the localization and ASO. And starting from 2018, I am working as the head of ASO and product manager in AppFollow company. So a little bit about my companies actually. As Aviasales is the largest meta search flight website in Russia and CIS. So we are working in, as I told, in Russia and CIS. And as I remember, before COVID, we used to sell like 70 Boeings full of tickets. So it's huge amounts. And in the COVID era, we just thinking about new solutions. So, and as AppFollow is a all-in-one complete platform for the product owners or marketing teams, from ASO managers to customer support teams. We are doing full cycle of jobs like tracking reviews, doing ASO, reporting analytics. So any team from the app marketing and product team could find a solution in AppFollow. So we have like over 70,000 of customers worldwide, including gaming site, including wargaming, and many others. So let's start with today's agenda. And today we're going to talk about a little bit about numbers. So I will tell you why localization is necessary. And then we're going to switch to the localization workflow. We're going to talk about the store page localization, how to localize actually the store listing. We're going to talk about the app localization. And in the end, I will touch a little bit the customer support and user support questions. So let's start with numbers. And as you see on this App Annie report, we see that downloads grow leaders right now are India, China, Indonesia, and Brazil. So we see that these markets are growing really fast, and United States, it's quite stable on 5% growth. Of course, it's something, but United States is quite stable, so this overfilled market. And if you need to, for example, make a new app, make a new game, you need to check like other countries like India, maybe Indonesia. So we, of course, we are about revenue here, not just downloads. And we see that United States is growing hard as well. But there are some other countries that are showing us great numbers, like China, South Korea, Japan. They all are growing really fast in terms of revenue. So another thing here is we need to check is average revenue per user by country. So here leaders are actually quite obvious, the South Korea and Japan. As there are lots of hardcore games, they tend to spend lots of money on the games, on the mobile games. And of course, it's quite hard to enter these markets, but I think I will help. I will give some advices on how to enter these markets, how to work on them. So the one thing we need to know before we start, that emerging markets like Indonesia, Brazil, India maybe has lower RPU. That means that users that are living in these countries tend to spend less money on games than for example, in United States. But the one thing here that these countries has quite low entry barriers, so you have more chances to rank there. You have more chances to rank high. You have more chances to find your niche. Because, when you are launching new title, new game in the United States market, for example, it's almost impossible without external marketing. It's almost impossible to get high positions, to get lots of users. But in these emerging markets, it's not that hard. You have chances to get high positions. You have chances to enter the market actually without some huge money spending. So a little bit more about numbers. These are actually our charts for one of our apps called JetRadar. You see that during these couple of years, we were doing the localization and ASO like full-time ASO for this app, and we saw the X60 growth in downloads and X10 growth in revenue. And also we got lots of featured collections in Google Play, because we will tell a little bit more about this during next slides. But Google Play loves when you optimizing, when you're localizing your app. That means you can be featured like in 100 countries instead of like 10 countries. So localization also helps you to bring more browse and explore traffic. So that's really important. Okay, so a little summary before we start. Why you need to localize? First of all, localization is a free and stable continuous flow of new users. That means that, for example, when you are running an ad campaign, when you stop spending money, you will get 0 users. But when you're doing localization, when you're doing ASO, you just do it once, do it twice, maybe some more iterations, and boom, you are getting the stable flow of new users that are downloading your game or app every day. They just keep downloading, and you are not spending money on it. Also, as I told before, you have more chances to get featured worldwide. And the one thing here is that not everyone in the world speaks English. We want this, but there are lots of countries, lots of people that don't speak English. So they want to use their apps in local language. That means that they tend to spend more money. They have higher conversion rate for subscription and in-apps when they are using app in their own language. And of course, they have high user engagement because they can use apps in their local language like every day without any issues with translation or English language, English words and other stuff. Also, you can monetize with ads in countries with low RPU, like India, for example. Indian users are not really want to spend lots of money in games, but of course, you can always show them some ads. You can rewarded ads, for example, and they will watch their ads and bring you money. Okay, so let's move to the workflow about localization. And here is four episodes for the workflow. First of all, we need to start with MVL. That means the minimum viable localization. When you just localizing the app title, you're localizing the description, maybe some screenshots, like the minimum thing to understand if it will work or not. Then we move to the internationalization for the store page. That means that we are already updating our icon, updating our screenshots to get more downloads in the specific country. Then we are optimizing our app. When we see that we have lots of traffic in, for example, in Brazil, we are optimizing our app. We are translating our app into Portuguese Brazilian and optimizing for internal metrics like retention rate, spending, and other stuff. And in the end, we finishing the user support by replying to reviews, analyzing reviews, and other stuff. So let's start with MVL. First of all, we need to understand what countries we need to start with. As we told before, we need to find these countries in the Google Play user acquisition reports. We can see that, for example, in South Korea and Japan here, we have lots of store listing visitors, but we have just quite low the store listing acquisitions, and conversion rate is quite low in the red zone. So that means that we need to update these store pages. We need to localize these store pages to increase our conversion rate, because our app is quite popular in South Korea and Japan, but we don't getting any downloads, because we are losing lots of downloads actually, because our app page, our store page is not localized. So the point is, you need to check your acquisition reports, find these countries where you have the lots of store listing visitors and almost no, or maybe a little bit of store listing acquisitions. And this means that these countries will be the first to work with in terms of localization. So how to prioritize these countries? Then we are going to actually any Aso tool like AppFollow. Maybe we are identifying major competitors. So you need try to search your major keywords. For example, if we are working with flights app, like cheap flights, on the different languages, we are just checking what apps are placed on the top 5 positions. For example, if there are like strong apps, for example, on this case, there are Kayak and Priceline and Hopper, that means that we don't have we have almost no chances to rank high for these keywords. So that means we need to skip these countries and move on. For example, in this case, we can find like maybe 2 or 3 countries to start with to localize, and then move on to the more countries with more competition. The next thing is starting keyword research. Actually, keyword research for title and description on the, for example, German or Spanish, it's almost the same process as your native language, for example, English. But the one small thing there, that you don't know the language that you're doing on keyword research. But the other things are almost the same. You are just creating the semantic core, using your translation tools, for example, like even Google Translate. You can use it to create the initial semantic core. You want to find keywords that you want to use in title and description. You can use the store suggestion tools. You can use the competitor keywords tools. You're just selecting the best keywords there depending on popularity and competitiveness, and translating maybe your English metadata. So maybe the first couple of iterations will be like with closed eyes, because you don't know these words. But for example, for myself, when I'm doing optimizations for travel apps for years, I already know all the foreign words, like in flights, hotels, and all this stuff. Like I know how they look like on Japanese, on Spanish, on German, Brazilian, and other languages. So it just depends on time. So also you can ask Freelancer. We will talk a little bit about this to help you create a title. So you're just providing the keywords, and Freelancer, the local Freelancer, should create the title and description for you. Also, you can translate the full description by using the selected keywords. So for example, we just make the metadata with maybe 20 keywords, like the semantic core with your major keywords. For example, in Spanish, you are just giving these keywords to the Freelancer, asking him or her to translate your English description by using these keywords. So this is just the simple translation, only with including new keywords you want to rank on. So, and it's okay to get ideas from the existing apps. You can track your competitors. You can like copy some wording from the description or title and use it in your description. It's okay. Of course, you don't need to copy it one by one, for example, because Google will punish you for the spam. So as for keyword research, as I told, you can use lots of tools like missing keywords, the competitor keywords, the translation, the keyword translation, ideas. All these tools are designed to help you to find to create a semantic core, actually, to find the keywords that you can use in your metadata on the first iterations. So what about freelancers? You can use freelancers actually to help you proofread and create the title and description. I'm using the Upwork.com platform. This is the, I guess this is the biggest freelancer platform. And the one thing you need to do there is create the job. For example, I'm creating here the English to Thai proofreading for the mobile app. I'm creating the job like I need the translator from Thailand to proofread screenshots. So this is quite easy, and I recommend here to pay a little bit above market to work with the freelancer. For example, if the market price for one word is like 5 cents or 4 cents per word, please pay a little bit more. The point is that you need to work this freelancer for years to translate your app correctly, to translate your game correctly. For example, I'm working with some of my freelancers for 5 or 6 years already. So that means that this guy or this girl knows everything about my app. So he or she knows everything, how he or she should translate these keywords, how he or she should translate the app. So that will cause you, actually, when you're paying less market, there are some chances that you will get not really good job, and you will spend some more money on fixing these issues. So it's better to pay a little bit more to get the really good, really great results. So let's move next. And here is a small summary. So first of all, you need to research target languages using the UI reports and localization opportunities. Then you are identifying the major competitors, and you skip the countries with strong competition. So, for example, we just checking we have the 10 countries, for example, we are skipping like 5 of them. We still have 5 countries to optimize and localize in. The next thing, you are starting the keyword research for the new languages. So you're just doing the thing, like maybe you remember the Dr. House movie, TV series, that he didn't saw his patients. He only saw the data from the patients. So the thing here is also to see the data. So you can use, of course, the keyword translation tools, but you need to see the data like popularity, difficulty, competitiveness, how many apps on this keyword is ranking. So you are optimizing for the data here. And also you can use the freelancers to proofread your title and descriptions to make it look great, actually, because when we are translating by ourselves by using some automation translation tools, it can sometimes it can sound non-natural. You need freelancers to translate actually title. The most important thing here to translate it to look and to sound natural. And the hint here is to start with, for example, if you don't have any ideas what languages to use, I recommend starting with German, Portuguese, Brazilian, and Spanish. These are quite a good start with quite easy languages, and it's quite easy to make keyword research on this, and this will help you to get first downloads. Okay, what about screenshots? So on this point, in this case, we are not optimizing screenshots. We are optimizing only text metadata. So about screenshots, you just need to translate the current CTAs. For example, on these cases, we translated just our text. We left the app itself. We left the review on the right screenshot. You can see it's in English. We just translated only text on the screenshot. So just keep the idea and keep the design and everything. So we are working with text metadata on this step. Don't spend time and budget or creating country-specific ads. Just translate that you have. And here's it. Finally, we have the complete set of metadata to use on our store listing. And this actually cheap and fast process because it will be the base of the should we continue this decision. That means that when we're done, we just checking our metrics. We just looking on if we have more downloads in this country, what about conversion rate? We have made like a couple of iterations. If it's working, we move forward to the next step. If not, we keep iterating until we get the results that we actually love. So after several iterations, as I told, we got the stable flow of users. For example, we made like 3 or 4 iterations, and we got the stable flow of new users. They just keep downloading our app, maybe writing some reviews using our apps. So it's time to move to the next steps. The next steps is working with the store page. Let me show you some examples on how we did this. For example, on this case, we just actually it took us about like 5 minutes to make this icon. We just actually it was the hotels here in Arabic, so we just replaced the icon and got the 80%, almost twice increase the conversion rate. So this is how important your graphics on the store listing. You just translating your icon, of course, if you can do this, and you got a huge increase in conversion rate because users, for example, in Arabic countries, maybe they are not familiar with this hotel icon. They just started downloading our app when they saw the hotels what on the icon. So another thing here is the screenshots. We were optimizing our screenshots also for the Arabic market. We just added some CTAs on Arabic and another stuff here. And we got the 30% of increasing in conversion rate only because of screenshots. Also, that won't take lots of time, but when we are working like with huge apps like, for example, Tinder, you can see that they optimizing their app for the specific audience in the specific countries. For example, in Italy, we see that it's Italian keywords. We see that Italian girls there and boys. So in China, there are Chinese girls and Chinese CTAs. In Japan, there are completely different screenshots that are not showing our app interface. That's showing even more CTAs and the girl photo. So when you're working with actually huge apps, you need to optimize for the specific audience in the specific country. So you need to actually track what's important, what's famous in these countries, so optimize for them. So here are quite a list of hints. Let's go through it. So first of all, get the ideas from the direct competitors. If you don't have any ideas on how to optimize your screenshot and icons, just check your competitors, what they're doing. Maybe not only competitors, maybe another apps you love, maybe another great huge apps. So get the ideas from them, maybe in colors, in Pearson, some images. So check what they are doing. The next thing here is learn the local traditions like font colors and other things. For example, in China, there are red and gold colors are quite popular, but other colors and numbers, for example, as you remember, number 4, that are quite negative. So learn the local traditions, what's really important in the countries, like what fonts do they use, what colors do they like. So it's really important and it's affecting the conversion rate. So work with local audience. That means that if you have any people on the screenshot, you need to include the local people on the screenshots. For example, you need to include, as I showed before, you need to include Japanese person in Japan and German person in Germany. So this is really important because people tend to download apps when like the same people on the screenshots. So stay away from possible offensive and other disrespectful materials. That means that you need to know what actually can be offensive in the local countries. For example, in the Arabic countries, I heard there are some some strange issues with some images, and you need to keep it clean. So that's really important because that can actually ruin your conversion rate if you include some maybe offensive things on the screenshots. Also, you need to create several artworks and test them with internal A/B testing in Google Play. But you need to remember that you need to focus on retention rate. Why I keep telling this? Because on the first step, in Google Play A/B testing, you see that you just sync the downloads. So for example, if we have like simple 2D like pixel game, and we include screenshots like our game looks like Fortnite number 2, of course we will get lots of downloads for the screenshots, but people will delete your app immediately. People will leave negative review. So it's really important to avoid misleading and focus on retention rate. There is a second tab actually available on the Google Play console where you can track the retention rates. So it's really important, for example, to take the test, for example, of a couple of weeks and track the retention rate if this screenshot actually working better for your internal app metrics, not only downloads. Of course, downloads is quite important as well. So you need to see the green zones for both downloads and conversion rate. That's really important. Actually, this is another piece of work for your local freelancer, because the local people knows the best what can work in their countries. For example, they can give you an advice on the offensive materials. They can give you advice on local traditions. So work with your freelancer. It should be your friend, and you should work with this freelancer like for years. Okay, so let's move next for the store page. Oh yeah, hi there, Aaron.
Hi, Ilia. Mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course. Should I switch
Awesome.
to the previous slide? Yeah, no.
Yeah, that would be better. So so far it was really inspiring, and I remembered the times that I was living in Saudi Arabia. The culture is totally completely different. So that definitely makes sense to have a different app store page for every different major culture change, let's say. So my question would be, for emerging markets, we have low barriers to entry and low ARPDAU. That's fine. But I was wondering if you could share some of your findings when it comes to finding that secret sources for the emerging markets. So is there some hidden gems that you can tell us that we maybe don't know yet?
You see, when we are working with emerging markets, we're just trying to, for example, to find the local niche, maybe transfer some knowledge from the already existing apps. Like, for example, create something similar to the famous apps in huge markets. This is one thing. And also, it's quite easy. It's almost, I don't know, 3 times easier to get high position for keywords. That's why I love emerging markets. We have for example, Arabic flight searching app that we just created it. Like maybe we were the first who created this app in Arabic. We translated it to Arabic and store listing and app itself, and we get huge positions. We get great number of downloads, like 500 per day. By using only ASO and like some keywords, because nobody using it. So it's the thing here with working with emerging markets is to find the keywords you want to keep forever. Like, for example, some strong keywords. By opposite thing for example, in working in States and in Europe, you need to find like low volume keywords that you can gain high positions, because you can't gain a high position for the high volume keywords. So here is important. In the emerging markets, it's easier and it's better to try aiming on the high volume keywords, because they're just developing. For example, it's easier to get high positions, and you can keep these positions for years and just getting downloads without doing any updates.
All right. Thank you very much for the answer.
You're welcome. Okay, anything else? Okay, we should continue. Let's go. So working, as I told, working with app page graphics can significantly increase the conversion rate, bringing new local users. Why this happens? Because users see the data, users see the CTAs in their local languages. So it will help you really increase your conversion rate, because people will see the CTAs in the local language and immediately understand what your app is about. So that's perfect. Also, store page optimization help you to get higher search position for keywords. That means that everything in ASO is connected. Let me explain this how it works. For example, you have the position number 3 for your keyword. That means that apps on position number 1 and number 2 are getting high conversion rate. They are getting more downloads by this specific keyword. That means that you need to increase your conversion rate, and increasing your conversion rate will bring you more downloads by this specific keyword, and you will get higher positions. So even this is connected. So you need to work on your conversion rate. You need to work on your app store page. You need to work on your store listing, and that will help you to rank higher. For example, we are working with conversion rates, and we're working with store pages when we are seeing that we are stuck on some keywords. We are stuck on number 3, on number 4. Even we don't know how to move. We don't know how to move higher. And here is store page optimization can help us with that. And the one thing here is the monitoring progress. So you need to track every action. When you're doing ASO, you need to track every action and describe with numbers. So it's really crucial, and we saw it before, all these charts. It's really important, because without all these charts, of course, on the first look, it can be complicated, but you can't make the proper reporting without tracking every number. So the major ASO KPIs for me right now is, of course, it's search downloads and search conversion rate, because we are working with the search traffic channel. We need to optimize for it. So the next thing is a number of total ranked keywords, because when you are doing ASO, when you're optimizing, when you're doing localization, your number of total ranked keywords should grow, and that means that everything is doing great. And keywords movement, like the third thing here, we need to know how many keywords we got. We got new keywords, for example, how many of them are gained positions, many of them are lost position. So this is also the third major ASO KPI. So these charts actually in AppFollow making you easy to analyze all these updates, like the keyword chart. On the one page, there's some indexes, the search traffic performance, and the number of total ranked keywords. So we are optimizing. After optimization, we are using these charts just to understand were our ASO optimization and localization things successful or not. So just the easiest way to track the ASO performance here. And right now, when we are finished with our store page optimization, we did the title optimization, description, translation, we did the screenshots, we are working with icon, and we are getting lots of traffic on this case. For example, we are getting 400 and 500 downloads per day from the new country. We just need to move on and go to the app localization, and now we are optimizing for internal metrics. Why it's important? When you are optimizing for internal metrics, you just telling Google that your app is great. Google Play is checking your retention rates. Google Play is checking your in-app actions to track your performance. So it's important to keep these numbers high. Even your crash rate can decrease your keywords. So it's really important to track your app performance. So when you need to start the optimization for internal metrics and actually localize the app, first of all, when you have, as I told, app has a stable flow of new users. For example, you made maybe 5 or 10 iterations, it depends on country, and you got a stable flow of new users, and it's great. So the next thing is RPU and conversion rate to purchase, and retention rate is lower than your benchmarks. You can set, for example, your own benchmarks, and you can look on metrics in your major country and compare these metrics. And if you're seeing that metrics in the new country is lower than in major one, it's time to work with the app itself. And also the one thing more is users leaving negative feedback. Sometimes users that don't speak English, they are leaving some feedback like, this app is in English, I don't understand anything. Here is your 1 star, translate it. And also this is the point that users are waiting for your app localization. So why we need to do this? As I told, to help non-English users to use the app, because, for example, in Russia, there are lots of people that don't speak English, and you need to localize the app in Russian to let them actually buy in-apps, to let them play your game, for example. And also will help to increase time spent in the app and retention rate. So people are using apps in local languages and playing games in local languages. They tend to do it more than in English. Even myself, when I playing games like in English, it's quite easy. When you're playing games, you're just relaxing. You don't want to think. You don't want to think how should I translate this, what's this story behind these English words. I just need to play in the local language, so without anything. And of course, it's better conversion rate to subscription, as you have the more users, you have the easy understanding of what's happening in the game on an app. People will buy your subscriptions or in-apps. And the numbers here, so our app Aviasales got a 5 times increase in revenue in new markets after localizing store pages and apps. So we just do this job. Of course, it was about like 40 languages. It took us several years, but we got a 5 time increase in revenue and downloads. So this worth it absolutely. So to keep the strings, app strings, you need a translation management system. I recommend using crowdin.com. We are using it, for example, for about 4 years already. And of course, you can read more on the Android developer documentation. There are actually great article on how to localize the app, so I recommend reading it. And when we are using the crowdin system, for example, or any other translation management system, we just, for example, have the on this example, we see the German translation. We are uploading our base strings XML file to the project where our app strings are located. We can see that we have on the German here like some strings for flights, for hotels, and for push notifications. So we are selecting languages we want to translate. For example, here is a German one. We are inviting, of course, it's already our buddy freelancer because we are already working with this guy or girl for years, and we just having great relationships. We are helping each other. We are inviting our buddy freelancer to the project. Then the freelancer translating this project. And the next thing maybe you need to ask your developers to help you with. We're just putting files into the project, building it, and voila, we have our app localized in German. So it's quite simple. Of course, there are lots of small things there, but you can read about these things on this Android developer documentation, and I recommend reading it. So how to make the localization right? This is really important. So first of all, work close with app developers. So you need to do this to find out where when new strings are, for example, added, when the release will be. So you need to plan your time, and because the actually app translation it's not that fast. You need to contact your freelancer. You need to wait while they translate it. You need to maybe fix some errors and mistakes and other stuff. So another thing here is add comments to the all strings that can have 2 and more meanings. That means that actually I recommend adding comments to all strings because that will really help translators to identify the right translation. Because when I was working as a translator, it's quite hard to understand what people means, for example, in some cases, because you don't see the app, you don't see the screenshot. And here is another thing, to capture screenshots and upload it to the system for all app pages and mark the strings. So that will really help you to get the correct translations, because the freelancer will see the app page screenshot or the game page screenshot and understand, yeah, I need to translate this way. Also, you can use the Fastlane snapshot scripts to automate this, but you can ask about this of your developers because it's quite complicated to set up. And the one thing more, you need to proofread every major release. We don't do proofreads like every release because we are doing this every 2 weeks, but every quarter we are doing the major proofread when we're just making screenshots for all the app. We are letting freelancer to use our app and trying to fix everything. Maybe we made some mistakes during this quarter. We're trying to fix everything during this huge proofread. So also I can recommend you to make several major scenarios. For example, in our tickets app, we're asking freelancers to buy the ticket in some countries by saving it in favorites and getting notification. So to check all the major scenarios that are working great without any mistakes, without any misspellings and other stuff. So, and we're done here in app localization. It's quite easy, but of course, maybe you need some time to figure it out how it really works. And the final thing here is the customer support. Of course, when you are optimizing your app in new countries, a number of reviews will grow. You will get reviews in local languages. You will get lots of reviews in local languages, and user needs support. So find out why they're not satisfied. Maybe something is not available in their region. So you need to reply all the negative reviews starting from 1 star to 3 stars. So that means that these users actually are writing great reviews because you see, when users are happy, they are not writing reviews. They are doing this only when they are not satisfied. Find out why they are not satisfied. Maybe some insights there will be. So analyze user opinion, feedback. Maybe there you can get some insights about local issues, maybe some feature requests. So there are lots of gold data in the user reviews. So also you can try to use the sentiment analysis to understand what they're writing about mostly, what bugs they have. Maybe, for example, on this screenshot, we see that the users have lots of issues with app optimization and crashes. So maybe we need to find some solution to optimize our app for the small simple devices. And also this will help you to prioritize your backlog to understand what features you need to do at first. And the final thing here, include new Android rating review request in your app. So this appeared like a month or maybe a couple of months ago. You can include this review request inside your app, so user don't need to switch to the Play Console, to the Play Store to leave the review. User can leave it like inside the app. So people, as I told people, not leaving review when they're happy. But you need to track all the negative reviews to ask for feedback. You need to communicate with users and trying to keep your rating above the 4.5 stars. So this is really important because, as I told before, this affects your conversion rate affecting your keyword positions affecting your downloads. So as you see here, the user color prim is not happy with the apps, something in this language, maybe Spanish, written here, and that means that this 1-star review can decrease our conversion rate, can decrease our rating. Rating will decrease conversion rate will decrease keyword positions, and finally, because we are not working with reviews, for example, we can get our keyword positions lost. So everything is connected, and everything you should worth working with. So I guess we're done here. Let's see a little summary. So first of all, start with minimal viable localization. Find the initial batch of countries to test on. For example, 3 or 4 countries. Then when you are done with app title and description, optimize for store listing to increase conversion rate. Then optimize for internal metrics like RPU and CR to purchase in app itself. Of course, don't forget to measure every step, track all the numbers and KPIs. So you need to have lots of charts. You need to have lots of data and chart and graphics to understand what you did and what caused you, why your app is growing or not growing. So you need to track everything. Of course, test. As I told, Aso is about testing. You can do even 10 tests per month, and just it can be enough. So just test. Maybe you will find a great screenshot or icon in the next, for example, next release. Maybe you will need to make like 50 tests to find your icon. This is just it, and you need to test to find the really great artworks or keywords. So communicate with users, analyze sentiment and feedback. As we know, in Google Play, and other stores, actually, the user reviews is the only feedback channel for users. If something is not working, they are writing reviews. So communicate with users, working with reviews. So analyze feedback, and you will find some new ideas and feature requests. And after all of this, get ready for the growth. because you're doing localization, you're doing optimization. Of course, your app and games will grow in lots of countries. So get ready to the growth of X, get ready to the revenue growth because of localization. And the one beautiful thing here that is forever, almost forever. Not you just did it once and you don't pay it more. So that's it. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And I guess we're done here. So Marius, are you here?
Thank you, Ilia, for a very interesting presentation. Let's invite our speakers, and like maybe as the first one, I will actually ask kind of follow up of your your presentation. I think like when I was talking with a lot of people, a lot of owners of apps and games, when we were discussing the localization, it seems to be kind of wish circle, yeah. So the country didn't bring a lot of traffic, a lot of results, so they didn't want to invest like resources and money into that, and because they didn't invest money resources, then it didn't bring a lot of results. Yes, so it's kind of chicken egg situation. Do you have maybe any kind of let's call it advice, or like how to start with that, how to actually any idea how to go with that?
So the beautiful thing about ASO is that you, in some cases, you don't need to invest lots of money and time into this. So, for example, when you're working with the new keywords, when you're working with the new countries, you just need to maybe spend a day or two on trying to find new keywords. You can spend about $20 to translate your description, and boom, you can release it into the Play Store and see does it work or not. So you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on it. You don't need to plan it, like, for example, for the next year, for the quarter. Of course, it's always start with small things. You just need to try there, try here, try German, try Spanish, try Japanese maybe, and boom, you will see some results, and then you will have some data. So this chicken egg problem will be gone because you will have some data. And with this data, you can go to your managers and maybe to find some budget for this, find some time. So just try to start with something to understand if will it work or not. There are actually some apps that won't work with localization. For example, some local apps, you don't need it. But I guess for some games and other stuff, it's maybe some games are not really popular. For example, in Asia, that are really popular, like in Europe or vice versa. So it depends. So we need to try something as we did. We just try here, try there, and boom, we just got as we have.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, so are there any other questions?
So maybe we can actually go to this directly to the discussion. Like I think there is like we asked that before to Marek, but we see that that question being quite popular still. Do you think like that from your perspective that COVID changed anything in ASO? Like, what is your perspective on that?
So you see, you actually make me cry because you see, when we are working in travel, so you can understand what we have during the COVID. So we have our downloads drop almost 90%. We have our revenue drop 80%. So nothing great actually. But right now it's growing a little bit because we change actually.
If we just exclude some specific genre / vertical perspective, yeah, because some of course some verticals gained during the COVID. Some of them they lost, but it's more on the demand side of the users. But do you see anything changing like on ASO side, just a part of the demand of the
yeah, got it. So you see, it still depends on the category, because, for example, in travel, we just focusing on the local travel. We not recommend users we're not pushing like these seas and islands on our screenshots. We're pushing the local cities on screenshots. So this is the major change in our ASO. What about games? I saw that of course games have got lots of downloads, and maybe they're optimizing for something else. So the major change for us is actually the different targeting, not the worldwide travel, but local one. So maybe some on games there are more things here. And I guess actually sports apps are always, sports apps are also optimizing for the in-house sport activities, for example, not just running around the city, just doing some activities inside. So I think this is the major change, that apps are optimizing for something internal, not the traveling or maybe running in parks and something like this.
Thank you. Aaron?
Was there a question to me?
Oh, maybe do you like to ask any question?
Yeah, I believe I have one question just appeared in my mind. So this question could be answered by both of you, I guess. So I believe there's a cohort of people in the audience, they may create hyper casual games. So as far as I can see from the market, the developers don't tend to localize the hyper casual games by regions. So I would like to get your thoughts on that topic. Is it needed, or shall we exclude that kind of genre?
From my point of view, if this game, there are actually lots of I'm actually a fan of hyper casual games because you only spend time just clicking. If this game is just a simple, for example, click, I need to click and play. I guess there is no need to localize the game itself. But of course, you need to localize the app page because all the CTAs, all these beautiful wordings, all these beautiful pages, they need to be localized. But if you don't have any story, for example, in your game, there is, I guess, not necessary to localize the game itself. That's my opinion.
Marek, I think you mute.
Go. Now I unmuted. In my opinion, it depends on the market, on the targeting market. But mostly the players are just okay with English, so they totally find that most of the hyper casual games are based on English language, and by localizing some markets, you can get some better results in case of KPIs. Based on my experience, like they are some emerging markets that can bring you a decrease in retention, for example, in retention overall, like a lot of installs coming to your game or app in a very short term. Just
Thank you. And like probably that question more to Ilia. You were talking, actually, you're giving a lot of advices about localization, but when it comes to this app localization, what do you think is extra step beyond just translating the language? Yeah, from the stuff that is let's call it lower hanging fruit to something that you think is from your experience very challenging. So rather something that makes sense in really, either really big projects or for very, very specific markets.
Yeah, got it. So when we are talking about app localization, we should forget about the low-hanging fruits and MVPs. So because when I just opening the app and game that is translated with using automatic translation in my language, I don't believe it, because people don't spend time, they don't invest time in the translation. Why should I invest time in their app? Because it's when you see these mistakes, misspellings, and all this stuff, you don't believe the app. You won't buy something in this app. That's why when we are talking about the app localization itself, we need to work with we need to work with our translator. We need to double check all the misspellings. We need to make the great translation of the app, because when you are seeing misspellings on the website, for example, if we see misspellings on the Amazon website, we have some questions to the Amazon, and we don't buy something from that or just any other marketplace. The same thing here is we need to make the proper localization. It's not just translation. We don't need to translate the word by word translation. That won't work. We need to make localization, that the different terms, because we actually find new words to say what we want. We don't need we just don't translate the words. We find new words in the local language. So because that's why when we are doing the app localization, we are spending much more time and resources and money on this, because it's much more important for the internal metrics. So that's my opinion here. So is there anything else for us?
So maybe do you have any best practices for working with translation freelancers and localization companies? Anything that comes to your mind from your experience, something what to do and something what to avoid?
As I told, you need to avoid the cheap translators. I know that sometimes the people try to put the lower price for your translation, but you need to avoid this, because you're not translating like the story for your grandmother, for example. You're translating the huge app for the huge market. You need to really invest into this. So avoid using the cheap translation. Try to use the professional guys that have lots of experience in this. So because if you use cheap translation, you will spend lots of time and money to fix that. That's not worth it. It's just not working like this. Also, I didn't work with localization companies for myself, because actually I prefer to work with freelancer one by one. But I guess the localization companies also just using the translator expertise to work with. So just the same thing, but you have the dedicated manager there. I prefer to use it. For example, we have the localization manager in our company, and just and it's one person who in charge of the overall localization of the apps, and we just asking him if something going wrong. So it's better to keep in house. Some people are giving ASO for the agencies. Of course, it works for the large companies, for example. But for the small companies, it's better to keep everything in house. Maybe it's time to. Maybe it will help to to grow the huge ASO department or something like this.
So I'm going to ask the next question to Marek, if you don't mind. So is there any way that we can speed up the evaluation of Google experiments to get the results earlier?
Yes, I have something in mind. For every Google experiment or any A/B test, I'm willing to use just simple A/B testing calculator that calculate a sample that is needed to conduct an experiment, and you can also by using that kind of calculator just estimate how many install do you need for ending the test. Of course, the best practices says that you should run your test for at least 7 days, but if you have a scale and if you reach the estimated install, so in some cases you can just end the test a little bit earlier. And in my presentation, I also mentioned about MDE. It's a minimum detectable effect that can cause your conversion rate. So the higher this MDA is, the shorter should be the experiment, the A/B test. So that's two examples of shortening the tests.
Got it. So you mean that the higher sample of audience you have, you can even shorten the period of the A/B testing.
Like the lower is this MDE, the lower the higher is the MDE, the lower is the sample size, the audience you should target. The estimate installs are lower at the beginning.
And maybe the question, like, do you have any advices how to connect ASO activities to business? Like, because of course always there's the question, like, how much money it makes sense to invest in specific market, and at the end of the day, it's like, it's really about connection to the business. Like, we're talking, like, Ilia was talking about like, having MVP, and then based on that making some decisions. Marek was talking about doing some analysis, but do you have anything else in mind that is good to remember, like to connect those ASO activities to business?
The simple way is to creating mobile games, I think. The simplest way. And it depends how you started. Yes, how you start. If you have some online business unconnected with the mobile business, you can just check if the idea is correct. For some samples, the idea can be profitable, and then you can slightly move to the mobile industry to optimizing listings. Like, every organic install can lower your overall acquisition costs, of course.
Yeah, agreed with that. That the ASO helps you to lower the acquisition cost, the total one, and also the one thing here that you should track. Should track spending on the ASO. You should track how many downloads you have, how many revenue you have because of ASO, and calculate the ROI. Like, this is just a simple like a marketing thing, like you calculating the ROI with your paid user acquisition. The same thing you can do with ASO. You see that, yeah, I spent, like, for example, several dollars on the translation, the ASO tools, maybe some other things, and I got the $100 of revenue because of this coming from Spain, for example. And it's not quite easy, but it's possible to calculate the ROI of all our actions.
Thank you. And I think the last question is to Ilia, probably. The question is, like, you have compared a game app which has picture symbol that does not require words versus app that has description instead. Isn't easier to cut out the text?
Actually, I don't sure that I completely understand the question. If we are talking about the picture and stuff, maybe we are talking about the icon or screenshots or graphics. So it's of course, if you can add some text on this icon, it's better to do this. For example, if you don't have like a huge brand, for example, like some Tinder can remove anything from the app page, leaving only the title Tinder, and nothing will change. But if you are working with like the small apps, with indie games, we still need to get to bring the idea of our app to the users. So we have some places for this, like icon and screenshots and description, so we can use all of them. Of course, we don't need to like put one sentence of the text on the icon, but you need to, like we did with the hotel world, we just put it on the icon and boom, we got lots of downloads. So this is how it works. So let people know about your what is your app is about on the icon, maybe screenshots. And I'm sorry if I understand it not right, but it's quite complicated here.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, really, guys, for like sharing your knowledge and experience with the audience. Thank you for like to all listeners for like spending the time with us. Like all of you, of course, I would like invite you to like our like some of our next webinars. You can find them at at GameCamp website. And then again, I wish you good day, and of course we will be very thankful for any feedback that you can leave us. like once you did the check-in, you will be asked for the feedback, and of course we will be very thankful for that. So anyway, Ilia, Marek, Eren, thank you for spending the time with us, and I wish you nice day.
Thank you, Mariusz.
Thank
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Very meeting.
Bye.
Guys, bye.